Alright, this video I'm gonna speak about the science of Kung Fu sparring based on a question I received about our sparring methods in the school. We're not training for combat sport. We're training for street survival, street fighting. So, through the years of development of how I spar and how I have my students spar, how my school spars, is designed to be as realistic as possible while trying to keep serious injuries at a minimum. The ideal is to not have any serious injuries, and what I mean by serious injuries are like broken teeth, broken nose, um, broken jaw. Basically, anything that requires like medical attention. We don't want to have to take those types of risks. No concussions, things like that, and but we want to keep it like pretty as realistic as we can while keeping it relatively safe. So bumps and bruises are expected. Sometimes bloody nose, bloody lip, um, things like that might happen. So what we do is we wear shoes because when we are out there on the streets, we will have our shoes on. So we get to use that as protection. We get to use that as added benefit to defend ourselves with. It's kind of like part of our advantage. Um, it doesn't make sense to fight barefoot out there, and our feet, the shoes are designed to protect your feet from the elements. So we get to use our shoes to enhance our kicking techniques. So we wear shoes, no mouth guards, no no eye protection, no gloves. Basically, my viewpoint is, whatever you wear on the streets, that's what you wear in sparring. So if you're not gonna have gloves on out there, then don't wear it in sparring. If you're not gonna have um, a mouth guard on out there, then don't have it in sparring. So basically, what it forces is a higher level of awareness to make less mistakes, where there's no room for mistakes because there's a lot at stake. If you make the mistake and you catch a punch, then you could get your nose broken, get your tooth broken, get your eye jabbed out. So our main rule is open hand strikes to the head, not a closed fist to the face. Um, for obvious reasons, because it's easy to break someone's nose, easy to fracture somebody's eye, to break somebody's tooth, break somebody's jaw. So we have open hand up to the face. So instead of doing like a jab to the face with a closed fist, we might do a backhand to the face or a palm strike to the face. And with this thing that's been recently popular, with this whole power slapping competition, obviously it's extremely unhealthy and dangerous, and it's not self-defense, it's not martial arts, it's just people just knocking each other out with a open hand strike. Obviously you see it, they're knocking people out with one palm strike, one slap, or whatever you want to call it. So the open hand strike is dangerous as well. It's not just a closed fist. So in the combat sport, they're using protection, gloves to protect. So in the boxing they wear gloves, in the cage fighting they wear gloves. Almost every single combat sport they're wearing gloves. So that is not realistic in itself. It's basically making the techniques less effective than they actually are. So instead of like jabbing somebody and having them feel it when you have like a real jab coming at them with no closed fists, and you have knuckles that are trained and sharpened, it would affect a person a lot more if you actually hit them with your open, with the closed fist, without a glove. So the fact that they're putting on the gloves is making it unrealistic, and it's throwing off the science of the combat. It's making the fight last longer than it actually would if there was no protection. So I really don't like the idea of using protection in the sparring because of that. Because like I said, we're not training for combat sports, so essentially you're really respecting each technique and how dangerous each technique actually is when you do not wear any protection. So they don't have any headgear and you don't have any glove. So if you hit them, they're going to feel it. So you don't even have to hit them that hard and they're going to feel it. So that makes it a lot more realistic as far as like which techniques are actually effective and which ones are not, and how much force do you actually have to use in order to stop somebody. Um, and it makes it, everything becomes more serious, meaning you can't really afford to even take a jab punch when somebody is not wearing a glove and they're striking at your face. So you take everything very seriously, as if you are engaging in a knife fight. You cannot afford to get stabbed. You cannot afford to get slashed. You want to basically do your best to not get hit and to hit them and not get hit yourself. So you respect every single technique. Every technique, when you're not wearing protection, becomes a lot more serious. When you wear protection, you wear headgear, you wear gloves, you wear all these things to protect yourself, you're not really truly experiencing how lethal these techniques can be when there is no protection. So that's why we spar that way, is because we truly want to study the science of the techniques, and we're doing it for the streets. We're not doing it for sports. So meaning sometimes you might be attacked by multiple people. A woman might be attacked by a man. A small person might be attacked by a large person. A heavyweight, lightweight person might be attacked by a heavyweight. Like, there's no, like, there's no fair fight in a real fight. So you have to be prepared for everything. So you have to be able to make the adjustments that you need to make in order to win the confrontation. So this is a different approach in the science, in the study of martial arts. It's not for combat sport. It's not for fame. It's not for money. It's just the pure love for the science of what actually works compared to what does not. We do make closed fists to the body, so we're allowed to make a closed fist to the stomach, to the chest, to whatever. We could even kick to the face if we want. You know, reason being, it's gonna be hard to kick somebody in the face that knows what they're doing. As far as like a straight on kick straight to the face, it's gonna be hard to kick somebody like that because they should know how to block and get out the way. But like basically hook kicks and reverse hook kicks and side kicks, I mean, that's all fair game. You could kick high if you like, kick to the face, kick to the body, kick to the shin, kick to the knee, kick to wherever you need to kick. Even in the groin area, you're allowed to strike there. You could kick there, you could punch there, you could do whatever you need to do. You could, if you want to take them down to the ground, go ahead. But the person that you take down, they are allowed to use foul techniques. So they could use pressure points. They could control your finger, and peel your fingers off if they need to. They could simulate gouging to the eyes by pushing up by the eyebrows. They could, do the joint locks. They could do the chokes. They could do what they need to do to get you off them. So we could grab in the back of the head. We could grab their hair. I even had to grab somebody's groin area, and I did that. And basically it's basically trying to get as real as you can. And then there's always supposed to be Sifu monitoring it to make sure that it doesn't get too far. And then the people that are participating, they are allowed to quit at any time. They can withdraw at any time. And the level of force is supposed to be matched according to who you're going with. So if somebody's going at, from a scale to 1 to 10, 10 being like the hardest, like If somebody's going light on you, then you go light on them. If somebody goes like medium to you, then you go medium to them. If somebody goes hard on you, then you go hard on them. So you have to be able to adjust the amount of force based on who you're going with. If you're going against somebody who you have a huge advantage against and you are a lot stronger than, then you're gonna have to scale back your power in order to not hurt them. But if somebody is at your level of skill and at your level of strength, then it's gonna be pretty competitive, and then there's really not much room for mistake, and you really have to be careful so you don't get really hurt, really injured, and you have to, at that point it becomes more and more realistic, and then you have to basically find the amount of intensity which is right for the situation. As far as like being able to train for habits, like it's not always necessary to punch somebody in the face. Sometimes you might want to do a palm strike. It's not like the fists are like the only things that you can do to people. Like if you want to eye jab them, then you eye jab them in real life. If you want to punch them in the face, you punch them in the face. If you want to do a palm strike, you do a palm strike. If you want to do a back fist, you do a back fist. It's like you should be able to control every single technique that you are delivering. No matter if you do a fist, no matter if you do an open hand strike, no matter if you do a kick high, a kick low, a punch high, a punch low. Like you could do an open palm down there if you down to the stomach area if you need to, or you could do a fist. You should be able to control your body. It's if you can't do that, then you're not at the highest level of skill. So and another thing is like in the streets, you're not gonna have all these equipment. You're not gonna have the headgear. You're not gonna have the gloves. It's gonna be different. It's like to block punches and kicks without gloves is gonna be different than if you have gloves. And the punching power is different. The speed is different. The timing is different. The reaction is different. The distance control is different. There's a lot of variables when it comes to all of this. So there's a lot involved. It's not just like boxing or something like that, or even kickboxing, or even cage fighting. Like the science of combat on the streets, it goes very deep. It goes down to the detail, and that's why you see Bruce Lee doing 2-finger push-ups, and recently one of the students got her pinky broken, fractured, and she had to go to the hospital because it's bleeding. Like it boils down to your pinky. It boils down to your finger. People don't think about like these types of injuries and how important it is. There's so many times where a person's thumbs gotten broken trying to block a kick. People's fingers gotten jammed trying to block a kick, and the fingers are getting damaged within the sparring, and that stops the whole match all the time. People are all so fixated on knocking people out, but they don't realize that if you break your toe, if you break your knee, if you break your finger, like that can end the fight right there as well. It's not just always about just knocking somebody out and that's what it is. Like in real fighting, it goes down to the detail. So and you don't really have to hit somebody that hard to break their nose. You don't have to hit somebody that hard to give them a black eye when you don't have any of this protection on. So our bodies are a lot more fragile than what the combat sport makes it out to be. You see all these NBA players getting hurt so easily as well. Just playing basketball, you see football players getting hurt all the time. They're super strong, but they're getting hurt all the time. You see wrestlers getting hurt all the time. They're strong as well. So our bodies are delicate. So you can't really afford to be getting hit all the time. That's not a display of high level skill. High level skill is being very accurate, very precise, and respecting every single technique where and then you aim to be perfect. You aim to not get hit. You aim to hit but not get hit, and it requires a lot of precision. So if somebody basically tags you, with an open hand, it's showing that, hey, they could have punched you in the face right there if they wanted to, but they chose not to because they don't want to hurt you, or hurt you too bad, but they did hit you. So the idea is you have to figure out how not to get hit next time, and get better at what you do. You shouldn't have to get your nose broken every single time you get hit in order to learn. If you're intelligent enough, the most intelligent person is the person that learns without getting hit at all. If you're not as intelligent, then you got to get tagged a little bit, stung a little bit, and then you might learn. And then the least intelligent person is the person that has to be severely injured multiple times in order to finally learn. So the way that these combat sport people do it, with getting all these concussions and all that stuff, that is not the way. It is clearly not the way towards health. It is not the science of real combat. It's designed for entertainment. It's designed to generate income. It's designed to basically profit as much as possible off of people being brutal with each other. The science of combat, the science of real martial arts, it's about health, longevity, and intelligence, spirit, meditation. It's about getting so good at something that the person can't even hurt you, and then you have full control about how much you want to hurt them. Do you want to just tag them in the face with an open hand? Do you want to punch them in the face with a closed fist? Do you want to just dodge their technique? And do you want to just take them down to the ground and control them? Do you want to get them in a joint lock? Do you want to just not have to punch them, but rather just kick them to defend yourself? Somebody who's perfect will be able to prevent themselves from getting hurt or injured by whoever's trying to attack them, and then they can decide how much they want to hurt that individual. And it takes a lot of practice, and it's not the same type of training as what these combat sport people do. So we work in a lot of drills to make sure that you're working on the proper reflexes, the proper responses on, and all that. But high level sparring, it can be dangerous, but you're supposed to be trained to know what to do. So then if somebody's coming at you at full speed with a technique, chances are you know how to block, you know how to get out the way, you know how to counter, you know how to move, and that you won't get hit. And if you do get hit, you're supposed to be conditioned to the point where it's not going to take you out of it. You're going to still be able to withstand it and continue on. And you're supposed to spar with people that you're friendly with, people that might be your family, people that you respect. You're not supposed to be sparring out of anger. If it is out of anger, then it basically becomes a fight, and that's not the intention. The intention is to spar in meditation and with science and with skill, and just basically to perfect your abilities through continuous repetition. So somebody who's really good shouldn't be getting broken bones all the time, and they should have control over their techniques where they're not hurting their opponent too much either. So rather than depending on the glove and the headgear to control the amount of force, in the way that we spar, it's dependent on your ability to control your body and your techniques in order to keep the experience relatively safe, but at the same time realistic enough to where you learn what you need to learn.